along to item 11. Thank you, Johnny. And Shane, welcome.
Kia ora. We're presenting the Q1 results of Māori transformational activity and expenditure, as well as the co-governance activities for this financial year. We're happy to take the report as read.
Right, thank you. We have a C in the recommendations, councillors. Member Tatari, do you want to move this?
Oh, yes, please, Madam Chair.
Thank you. Have I got a seconder?
Aye.
Councillor Philippina. And I've accepted that, understanding that, well, you might like to speak to it.
I would. I just got a few questions, if that's okay.
Yep,
First,
that's fine.
and I guess it reiterates the C because it's about just further information. So, just in terms of the Māori Business Intelligence Forum, what are the outcomes of that forum so far, and which are also anticipated in the future?
Certainly in terms of that forum, it was a combined forum of mana whenua, Māori business interests, Stats New Zealand, and it was initially focused on defining what Māori business is from a tamaki makaurau perspective. That'll also start to drive with the work through Stats New Zealand and also our research and investigations and monitoring unit around how we gather Māori business intelligence and feed into that program going forward.
Thanks. The Ready for Road program, how many young people have come through that course, do you know?
Simply, that's information we'll go back to Auckland Transport to get the levels of participation. We're happy to report on that.
Okay. And the Kaitiaki Ranger program, what has been done or can be done to expand that program?
Certainly the pilot that's based in the Hanua Rangers has been well received through the Parks Department and mana whenua involved. So there's 8 Kaitiaki Rangers that have been contracted to undertake a whole lot of work within the Hanua Rangers. Certainly the learning out of that will help form a base going forward. So certainly mana whenua have indicated that they'll like to expand the program, and we'll be working with Parks to see how we can do that.
Okay, just a couple more, Madam Chair, and that is, in terms of the Māori responsiveness plans, have they been reported on consistently across Council?
Certainly one of the aspects, there's 2 aspects to that. Currently there's 14 either in development or have been completed. Combined with the Secretariat of the Independent Māori Stat Board and our internal audit, we've got a gate that will test the quality of the Māori responsive plans. They'll form part of the reporting back to this committee and also our Audit and Risk Committee. Certainly it'll create a benchmark for how we share that across the organisation.
And just the last bit, in Kete Akoranga, how many council staff members has the training program reached?
On an annual basis at the moment, we have got a participation rate around between 650, 700 staff a year at the moment, given the limited number of courses that we're currently running.
Okay. And just lastly, do you know which tools have been most successful in that?
Certainly, I think 2 key elements in terms of the feedback. One is understanding Council's statutory obligations to Māori, and the other key element is getting insight into Te Ao Māori or the Māori worldview.
Thank you, Madam Chair. And this is really why I put C up, because it just reinforces the need to get that further information about participation and the activities and that, so that's why I proposed it as I have.
But can we change the word slightly to after include, add as far as can be accurately captured? Because, I mean, unless there is...
Let's be more accurate then.
Pardon?
Let's be more accurate.
Well, the problem is, you know, if there's an event that people just turn up to, how do you know? If they have to register,
Sure.
you can be.
But Madam Chair, that would be the response, wouldn't it? I mean, I would like to encourage more systems that can measure.
I just think it would probably be better to have it in there, otherwise they. What do you think, Johnny?
Certainly, I understand in particular with our events staff, with the Treaty of Waitangi and Matariki events that are run, they are able to give indications of level of participation. Where council provides grants, for example, through local boards for community Matariki or Treaty of Waitangi events, we may not be able to capture those levels of participation, but certainly in terms of what council delivers itself, we'll be able to capture some of that data.
And I think, Madam Chair, the underlying thing is about using user feedback.
Okay, are you happy if we put those words in?
I'm absolutely happy,
Thank
Madam
you.
Chair.
Councillor Cooper.
Thank you, Madam Chair. I'm really glad that you altered C, Madam Chair, because I find that quite ambiguous. Who are we counting? Are we counting Māori? Are we counting Pākehā? Are we counting everybody? You know, it starts to get a little bit.
Madam Chair.
You know, no, sorry, I'm sorry, Madam
Have it
Chair.
done,
I'm
sir.
having, and I'm asking.
Yes, thank
I'm
you.
asking the staff whether they actually have the resources to do that, and we've already been told that it may be difficult. Do we send our staff all around, our Te Waka Angamoa staff all around the region trying to count these, and who do we count? Yes, because I'm not quite sure, you know, what's being got at here, and whether we actually have enough resources to do that. And we've just been talking about sticking to our knitting and the fact that we need a lot more money for the basics, which is our regulatory function, making sure we're getting resource consents and building houses properly. And now I'm concerned we're going to be putting money into things that, you know, they're nice to know, but they may not make a huge difference in terms of money having to be spent on this, Madam Chair. So maybe staff could give me a response.
Certainly, we understand that as part of our current process and systems across our events, people, they look to capture the numbers of participants. Certainly in terms of the Matariki events, the Treaty of Waitangi events, while they're Māori centred and often hosted by Māori organisations like Honi Waititi Marae, they're for the whole community. So what we'll be able to reflect is the levels of participation for those events. In terms of breaking it down by ethnicity, that might become a little bit more challenging. But
So just a further question, Madam Chair. So if this is about Māori transformational shifts, how does that affect what is trying to happen if we're just counting everybody? So that's why I just wonder about the value of it. So there's probably not an answer to that, Madam Chair. But anyway.
Well, I imagine if nobody goes, we do something else.
It's been-
Certainly, I think one of the key things is the outcome of celebrating Auckland's unique Māori identity at its point of difference in the world, and I guess its ability to share that identity for all Aucklanders, and that's one of the key outcomes of the transformational work.
So my final comment, Madam Chair, is we do count all our events pretty much. We estimate them, and that's why I don't see the issue around counting just for this, because we actually do it already. We have events, report backs around numbers of participants and everything we do. So I'm just wondering why we need this specific addition. It's up to you, Madam Chair.
Yep. I think we're quite comfortable with it. Bill, you're looking puzzled.
Yeah, come on, mate. Not puzzled, Madam Chair. I am reading the wording of that and also understanding that the transformational shift activity, you know, the broad sweep of work that happens in that space includes a lot more than just events. So I'm comfortable if the understanding or the direction of the meeting to us is that we will make our best endeavours to try and quantify the level of impact of these initiatives. If you're collectively asking us to do a heavily sort of oriented exercise around every one of these interventions, then I would have to say I've got concerns about the resource impact.
I think the movers actually
No,
clarified
you're
that.
right, Madam Chair.
Thank you. Okay, I'm going to, if no other comments,
Oh, yes.
Councillor Cashmore.
Yes, thanks, Madam Chair. So going back to our meeting on Monday, I was doing some adding up, trying to get some sort of good optics about the whole transformational shift, co-governance and everything else. I've done a sort of a rough order calculation, because you could debate what is a transformational shift and what is co-governance and where they all lie. But for some reason, we've come up to a grand total of around just over $26.5 million going towards co-governance, transformational shifts and programs for iwi. Is it potentially a sound proposition to include all these things in one report, so that us and the public have sound optics, and then the measurement criteria and how we're succeeding in those shifts?
Certainly, that's where we're moving to by next quarter, sorry. And we, as a recommendation, we note that we'll be moving into integrated reporting.
Thanks, John.
Okay, thanks. I'm going to put the
Madam Chair, I'd had a question.
Oh, sorry, Great.
Thank you, Madam Chair. Johnny, just in terms of the sites of, the Maori sites of significance, can you just give me an understanding, and I think this would be useful, how many there are at the moment that we've identified?
So through the unitary plan work and the utilisation of the cultural heritage inventory, there are around 3,000 or so sites. We also understand that that's been reduced by around 1,300 as the investigation's gone through to identify whether the sites are clearly identified.
No, Madam Chair, I asked about sites of significance, not sites of value, Johnny. Sites of significance, how many of those are there?
I can't give you that specific number. I will need to refer to the heritage team.
Okay. My understanding is there's about 60 sites of significance, and in terms of paragraph 30, in terms of those sites, are we working on making sure that further sites of significance, as they're discovered, will be protected, and how are we working towards that?
Certainly, I think that's a matter that we would refer back to the heritage team. Our understanding is the initial focus due to the unitary plan is securing those initial sites, and certainly we'll need to come back to you around how future sites will be protected going forward.
And have we any idea of how many future sites there might be, given the occupation of Tamakima Kārau for the last 600 or 700 years? We must have some idea of how many other sites of significance beyond the ones that we've already identified might be there.
Certainly, I don't have that information at hand, and I'd refer back to the Māori heritage team.
Thank you. I'm going to put that, all those in favour?
Aye.
Against? Carried. Thank you. Thank you, Johnny, Shane, Phil.